Everybody is the main character of their story. But to be the main character of a Pokemon game, you first need to have an absent dad. You also need an annoying freaking rival, so I guess I'm 2 for 2. Hey! Hi everybody, I'm Gary the Muffin and thank you all for 2000 subscribers. Now, I don't want to celebrate every little milestone, but because this video is also my 25th video for the humesum region, and also because of today's subject, it's gonna be a special episode nonetheless. So strap in my lovely Burmies. Today I'm drawing every rival and main character for Pokemon West and East. Also, I'm drawing Pokemon too. Surprise. After more than a year of working on this project, I'm honestly surprised I've waited this long to draw the player characters. And I'm happy I finally get to draw them, because I've been using this crappy silhouette of Red in my decks for way too long. With this design, I wanted to emulate the classic character designs of trainers like Red and Brandon, with a unique twist that makes these main characters special. For their fashion style, I decided to take inspiration from cottagecore. Most protagonists tend to be relatively standard looking teen boys with the samey outfit. But ever since Gen 7, I feel there's been a U-turn to more uniquely stylized clothes for the male protagonists, that fit the region or setting better. Gen 7's Hawaiian vacation outfit, Gen 8's British fashion, and Gen 9's student outfit all stand out from the red clones we got before. So while Dutch teens look basically exactly the same as most other Western teens, I felt the cottagecore style would fit the vibe of my region quite well. And thank Arceus Pinterest exists, because finding good reference images for these trainers' clothes would be a lot harder without it. The protagonists' outfits are also inspired by a bit of old-fashioned Dutch fashion, with a blocky cap, baggy trousers and sleeveless sweater over a white vest. Quick question. Is it strange that I had to look up what stereotypes people have about the Dutch? At least in their looks department. I'm Dutch myself, so I don't have any stereotypes about us, but apparently we're all blonde, blue eyes and tall. Man, I sure wish I was. So the boy player will follow the stereotype too. They'd also be some of the oldest protagonists yet. Most player characters are about 10 to 12, but the Gen 5 and 6 protagonists were already teens of 15 to 16, so these kids will likewise follow suit. The trainers' color schemes will also follow the standard palette for a trainer: red, blue and white, with this design emphasizing the red specifically.
Is this
Red?
No, this is
Wesley! Wesley is an old English name that means western flowers or western meadow. And Wesley also sounds like West, the title of one of my hypothetical versions. It's a neat little design that stands out from the other trainers in a good way. And now I can finally update the stupid decks. Much better. Alright, before I get to the female protagonist, let's take a break from stinky, smelly humans and talk about Pokemon. No one wants to sit with me because that's all I talk about. This will be one of the Pokemon for an upcoming rival. For this rival I needed something cute and cuddly, something merchandisable, and something kawaii, as the youth calls it. And my mind jumped to Tandebun, one of Gen 9's fan favorite Pokemon for their cuteness and weirdness. They are apparently based on mouse dolls that got very popular in Japan. Sylvanian families. Toys all about family and stuff. A very fun inspiration for this Pokemon, but obviously I can't just draw Tandebun again. Or can I? Well, obviously I have to give it a different concept. And I got reminded of one of the Netherlands' most iconic characters. Nijntje, a leaf clank Nijntje, Nijntje, a ba 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 da ba. Oh, sorry. Also known as Miffy to you English peeps. Miffy got extremely popular in Japan and actually inspired Hello Kitty. Though, that's a bit of a controversial thing to say apparently. Anywho, I'm turning Tandemmouse into a Miffy-inspired duo of bunny dolls. But obviously, the name Tandemmouse would have to go. So this will be the first convergent Pokemon in the humesum region, Tandebun! And it makes sense because despite popular belief, mice and rabbits are actually not closely related at all. Mice are rodents, but rabbits are lagomorphs. To translate the idea of Tandemmouse into a bunny form, I had to get a bit creative. Instead of the intertwining tails, they instead have matching heart-shaped ears. So cute! They also have two different colors, pink and blue. This sets them apart with the pure white Tandemmouse, and also references Miffy's iconic art style, with these simple white characters having one basic color for their design. I gave them these matching flower patterns on their body because they looked cute and gave the design the slightest bit of extra detail, which it really needed, while still also keeping them as simple as possible, mimicking Miffy's creator,
my friends call me Dick,
famous principle with his arts. Keep it simple. These two are adorable and I want to squish them.
Don't turn me into a marketable plushie!
Tandebun! From Tandem and Bunny.
Tandebun, the Friends Pokemon, a fairy type. They are absolutely inseparable. They go on all sorts of adventures, causing mischief as they go. They may be distantly related to Plus and Minun. These little Pokemon are very popular. Dolls and merchandise of them sell like hotcakes. They inspired a beloved book series for kids. It has the abilities Friend Guard, Co-Star, and the hidden ability Hospitality.
It's a pure fairy type. Bunnies are often related to fairies in European folklore, so it makes a lot of sense. Also, it's so gosh darn cute. It couldn't be anything but fairy type, right? Time for the female protagonists. These are often the ones with more personality and tend to be more memorable and well liked than the male protagonist. Think Gloria, Serena or May. While I try to avoid this problem, it ended up repeating with me once again because I like Aster's design a lot more than Wesley's, even if the gap isn't as big as usual. Once again I went with a cottagecore aesthetic inspired by traditional and stereotypical Dutch outfits. I gave her a flowing blue skirt and a cloth around her hair. You'll notice that both protagonists' designs are linked together with a few common elements. Obviously they have the same eye and hair color, but they also both wear white vests and a scarf around their necks. Both of them have a differently colored scarf. Wesley's has blue, and the girl's scarf will be red. Red? No, this is Aster! Wait, hold on, I haven't finished the art yet. I gave her this braid in the back of her hair. This makes her silhouette more memorable and also references the braids that all Dutch girls are depicted with. Also, the bangs of her hair stick out to form the same shape as those silly hats that these girls would have worn, without being as silly and on the nose. I struggled with the color palette quite a lot. I knew I wanted a balance of blue and red, but I wasn't sure how to balance these correctly. I ended up using the white pretty heavily to complement both colors. I added plenty of fun patterns on her outfit to make it more unique and interesting. Using Pokemon imagery like the Pokeball is a lot of fun on clothes, especially because I got to mix it with a flower to make her look floral and aesthetic. You'll notice Aster is predominantly blue and Wesley is predominantly red. That way they can contrast each other. And if you look really close, you'll notice that Wesley is pointing west and Aster is pointing east, like on a compass. Are you ready for adventure? This is Aster. Aster is the name of a flower, and the ast sounds like... Please, pronunciate the T. And the ast sounds like east. The title of one of my versions. These protagonists were a lot of fun to draw, and I'm glad they're finally done. Now I've got some actual human faces for this region. Earlier I showed off Tandebun. How about we evolve them now, shall we? And if you know Mousehold, then I'm sure you know what direction Bundold will go in, right? Just like Mousehold before it, Bundold stays the exact same. Their little bun bodies aren't changed in the slightest. Instead, they get busy! And instead have tiny little versions of themselves. I wanted to put a little twist on Mousehold's amusing concept though. Tandebun is all about friendships instead of families, reflecting Miffy's themes of childhood innocence. So instead of actually having kids, Bundold instead gets dolls, or well, rocks painted to look like them, that they play with as dolls. Being a Pokemon all about childhood innocence and friendships, I thought it'd be a cute twist to have these buns playing games together all the time, like rowdy little children. These dolls are shaped like Easter eggs. The Easter Bunny comes from German folklore, and German culture is a big inspiration to my region. As well as the original Mousehold too, actually. Speaking of Mousehold, you may be aware it actually has a second form. A rare single family form where the bigger mouse ate the smaller mouse before birth. And now there's just a single baby mouse. I thought it'd be a fun twist for Bundold to, instead of having less baby dolls, have considerably more. Remember when I said I'd stop making different forms for Pokemon? Well, I lied! Bundold's Horde form is basically two kids with an entire doll collection. It's a very cute extra form that fleshes out the concept of this convergent Pokemon.
Dada, why was I born?
So like and subscribe and ring that bell, of course. This is Bundold, from Bunny, Doll, Bundle and Household.
Bundold, the caretaker Pokemon, a fairy type. They paint rocks to look like them and then play with them like dolls. They act out all sorts of cute little scenarios. They inspired a popular children's story. They are very popular Pokemon with children. They embody the curious and playful nature typical to young kids. It has the abilities Friend Guard, Co-Star, and a hidden ability, Hospitality.
I absolutely adore both of these Pokemon. They're adorable and fun, and they fit right on a rival's team. Speaking of her, this video has been a lot of work in the art department. I mean, I drew 6 new human characters. That's 3 times more than my previous best. Just the 2 protagonists alone could have been enough, but I decided you guys deserve a lot better than that. So next up is the main rival of the game. Yes, main rival. I've made 2 other rivals. 3 actually. Maybe 4. So I've been busy! For this rival, I first thought of what themes my region and story would be about. Because the rival is one of the most important characters in a Pokemon game, she'd need to fit with the story too. This region is all about freedom. So I thought an interesting character to fit with those themes would be a foreigner. Someone who doesn't really feel at home in this new place, but learns to be herself and embrace who she is through the freedoms of a Pokemon journey. That feels like a perfect story for this rival. And of course, such a concept needs a good execution. One of the largest minorities in the Netherlands are Arab Muslims, and I got inspired by a friend of mine to make this rival a hijabi girl. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that really badly, by the way. This would be the first hijabi character in the Pokemon franchise. Of course, just wearing a hijab does not a personality make, and the other half of her character would be about her interests. She'd be very into kawaii and cute Pokemon, so she'll also dress the part, having flower patterns all over her design, in the dress, sleeves and on the scarf. She dresses all proper and fashionable, but I gave her that hint of kawaii with her adorable Beware bag. Very cute, and I really wish they made out in real life. Like a lot of my art, I once again had difficulty deciding on a color palette for her. So with the help of some friends, I finally decided to go with this black, red and pink combination. It fits well with her themes of her character. Modest but still cute and fashionable. And with the dash of green in her eyes, it came out looking gorgeous. I'm a big fan of her design and her character. Say merhaba to Al-lale. Lale is a Turkish name meaning tulip. Tulips actually were introduced to the Netherlands through trade with the Turks, so this name is pretty clever if I do say so myself. I'm not gonna go too deep into these rival stories because this video would be way too long if I did. So here's a basic synopsis. You'd meet Al-lale at the start of your game. She just moved into Ivysleuth and she's still getting to know the place. After she picks the starter Pokemon strong against you, she comes with you to the Pokemon Festival, where you both battle in a tournament, and earn a spot as one of the trainers getting to partake in the region's traditional gym challenge. At first she feels like she's struggling to fit in, but as the game progresses, she learns that to be accepted, she must first accept herself, and that's when she learns to be free from the expectations of people around her and just be who she is. At the end of the game, you finally battle her again, one last time. This time with her new team of Pokemon that encapsulates who she is. A cute Beware, a Furfrou whose style changes every battle, a Zaburo, the soft mascot Pikachu clone of the Humesum region, Bundold, Runaregis, a regional variant from a Pokemon of her home region, and of course the starter strong against yours. I headcanon her with Blution personally. A quick intermission before we continue. Thank you all again for 2,000 subscribers. That's such a nice number and I'm so proud of myself for getting this far. But we can go further. Like and subscribe so I can grow my YouTube empire! Next up I have another fun Pokemon design for you. And this one is pretty special. If starter Pokemon are so cool, then why isn't there a fourth starter Pokemon? I mean, a fifth? A sixth? This Pokemon is gonna be sort of an honorary fourth starter of my region, given to the other rivals / The starters of my region are based on the different aspects that make up an economy. Agriculture, manufacturing and trade. So there's a lot of ways I could go with this starter. I ended up basing it on the economy itself. Capitalism, baby! The Netherlands' best invention. Capitalism is the big factor that looms over all these aspects of the economy. So fittingly, this Pokemon would be a little dragon. As dragon types resist all three starter types, it would also rule over the other three starters. And it gives the rival I have planned a certain advantage over you. Perfect for their character. I took inspiration from snakes. In traditional European folklore, it was actually more common for a dragon to be a giant serpent than the traditional Western dragon we think of today. We call these worms. I gave it the gimmick of its shedding skin resembling clothes. In this case, a disheveled vest or mantle. I wanted to look unkempt, like a stereotypical homeless person. This way its concept and personality would evolve as it evolves as well. I choose you, Adderict! From Adder, a Dutch word for snake, and derelict. It also kind of sounds like addict, which was not the intention.
Adderict, the Drake Pokemon. A dragon type. It is a rare and difficult Pokemon for beginning trainers to start with, but it will be forever grateful for the home you give it. Wild Adderict live hard lives, fending for themselves. Because of their reputation as a dangerous Pokemon, Adderict are rarely picked by trainers to join their team. However, this Pokemon crave a bond with a trainer. It has the abilities Dragon Force and the hidden ability Dragon's Maw. The ability Dragon Force raises the power of Dragon-type moves when in a pinch.
Very cute little guy. I hope it's on par with the rest of the starters. As for the rival that gets this Pokemon, if you are the main protagonist of a Pokemon game, you can count on one thing being the case. Your mom! Got him! In every Pokemon game, your dad is either gone or absent, and you have no siblings at all. It's time we change it up. Aster and Wesley may still be fatherless, but at least they have siblings to count on this time. That's right, this next rival will be your older brother. I came up with this idea when I pondered why Pokemon rivals are so divisive nowadays. The main criticism they got for a long while was that they are too friendly and people miss the time of jerk rivals in Gen 1 and 2. And who else to be a mildly antagonistic jerk to you than your older brother, right? And I say that as a proud older brother myself. For the base of his design, I heavily took from Wesley. The same face, eyes, hair and build, only slightly taller. In a hypothetical game, they would do what Urbane and Tawny in Pokemon ZA will do. Be the player character, but completely customized. His clothing style would be punky and rebellious. He'd be a rebellious teen with torn clothes, a leather jacket and a classic beanie. Even his hair will be dyed. I didn't go as far into customization as Tawny and Urbane did, because I still wanted him to be recognizable as your older brother. Another fun thing would be that his hair, eyes and skin color would also change depending on what you picked at the start of the game. I gave him his large baggy jacket tied around his waist to reference the shed skin of Adderict's evolution line. Throughout the game, he'd be your strongest rival, starting with the Dragon-type starter and constantly being a step ahead of you, similar to Blue 30 years ago. His design is meant to reflect on his douchey personality, having plenty of sharp edges and a cool look. Hey, I know what we're gonna do today, Fern! His name comes from a non-flowering plant, the fern, relating to his siblings and the other rivals quite well, who all get names after flowers. He'd actually get to pick his starter Pokemon first, a fun twist on what usually happens in Pokemon games. But of course he'd always pick Adderict, so it doesn't really matter. Throughout the game he'd tease you constantly, trying to one-up you any chance he gets. But he's just being tough on you in order for you to get stronger. And also because he just likes teasing you. It's so much fun having a little brother. He went on a Pokemon journey 2 years ago as well, but he never managed to beat the gym challenge. As you grow stronger and eventually start to eclipse him, he's envious at first, but learns to be proud of his little sister. Yes, sister. Fern will be your rival if you pick the girl protagonist. But there's another rival if you pick the boy. But first a word from our generous sponsor, Adderict's Evolution. I actually designed the final evolution before the middle one, so this Pokemon's job was mainly to connect the two stages together. I went more snake-like with its body. Obviously it's longer than before now, but it was pretty tricky getting the balance right, because the proportions of this Pokemon were a pain to refine. Upon evolving, it sprouts a new set of arms, which tie into the Worym inspiration even more. Its concept also evolves. It goes from a homeless, sickly looking snake to a worm inspired by an overworked office worker. These would be a great Pokemon for some Team Compass grunts to have, right? I digress. I used the shedding skin to give it a suit and tie. The tie was quite silly looking and felt too disconnected at first, but after some struggling, and also some begging to God, I found a way to make it look decent. The skin draped over its head is also a bit stretched around the eyes, causing it to look like it has bags beneath them. It looks quite sleepless like this, just like a real life employed person. I adapted the colors from Adderict and made them brighter and more appealing, befitting of its new fairy type. Why is it a fairy type? Good question. Truth is, I needed it to have a secondary type to mimic my starter Pokemon, but I didn't have a type that fitted at first. But then I realized I could mix the idea of capitalism with the life-draining fey magic from fairy tales. To get at least a hint of the fairy type across, this Pokemon thus becomes pinkish and grows a pair of butterfly-like antennae, mixing a worm with an actual worm, or caterpillar. Hello, this is Worym, from Wham and Worry.
Worym, the worm Pokemon, a dragon and fairy type. It wears its shed skin to cover up and looks stronger than it actually is. With its mystical powers, it drains the life force of other Pokemon. It's known in folklore to drain people's ancient life to keep it for itself. Its own life force fades faster, so it's very desperate. It has the ability Dragon's Force and the hidden ability Dragon Maw.
Truth be told, this isn't my favorite design in this video. It feels a bit awkward, which on one hand fits with the Pokemon's inspiration, as well as it being a middle stage starter. On the other hand, I feel like I could have done a little better than this. Not that I dislike it though. I actually think it's a pretty solid mid-stage. It will just get overshadowed by the final stage of this family. Alright, now it's time to unveil the male protagonist rival, your older sister. She'll be very similar to Fern in terms of style and concept. Thank God for Pinterest again, because it was such a help in designing the clothes for all of these trainers. And these two rivals especially. Just like Fern, I want Ivy to be cool, but sort of a mean rival. So I again took inspiration from rebellious teen outfits. I really enjoyed the pose that I drew her in. Her arm outstretched while she leans back. She almost looks like she's stretching to prepare to kick your buttocks. You'll notice that just like with Wesley and Aster, Fern and Ivy both point in different directions, with Fern pointing south and Ivy pointing north, so together the four of them complete the metaphorical compass. Her outfit is pretty cool, with clothes you could see a real teenager wear nowadays. Baggy ripped jeans, a tank top, and again, a large jacket tied around her waist. And to give her some anime flair, she wears the spiky bunk bracelets, adding to her design with some sharp edges. Her hair mimics Aster's hair, but a lot less proper. No more braid. Instead, she has this messy bun. And her bangs are a lot wider and messier. They're held back by an open baseball cap resembling a Pokeball. A lot of protagonists have these kinds of hats, so it's a great perversion of the protagonist trope. I like her color scheme too. It takes from Worym and makes her look excessively punky, with the pink adding both a softer side while also being eye-catching and rebellious. This is one of my favorite human designs in this video, and I think even of my region in general. And I'm in love with both of these rivals. It's not a phase, Mom. This is Ivy. Similarly to a fern, Ivy is a plant that's not usually known for flowers. Technically they do flower, but when you think of Ivy, you're thinking of poison ivy and their leaves. Both Fern and Ivy have similar themes with some differences between them. They both have an edgy Houndoom, large Behemoth, and the evolution of Worym as their ace. But they also keep different forms of the punky toxicity, Fern having the amped up and Ivy having the low-key form. They both have a different evolution to Eggling, with Ivy having the female Evo Matrihan, and Fern having the male Evo Patrooster. And they also both have a differently typed Psybug. It changed types every time you fight a rival, but they'd never have the same type in the same battle. The reason I gave them Psybug is because of their storyline. They'll be your guide throughout the evil team subplot, similarly to Penny. Ivy or Fern are fresh interns at Compass Co, and throughout the game they sort of work for the Compass Corporation, unknowingly helping them in their evil plans, while the corporation imposes all kinds of silly, nasty rules on them, sucking their souls dry. In the end though, they help you fight against and defeat the evil team when they realize their nefarious nature. A punky rebellious teen being stuck at a dead-end job at the hands of an overreaching multimedia conglomerate? I wonder how that could tie into freedom. Now that we've got the mean rivals, and you guys already had a few glimpses at this Pokemon, it's time I finally unveil the final evolution to Worym and Adderict. Serpulent! This Pokemon is where the snake inspirations start to make sense. Because this is a rich person! Serpulent takes inspiration from rich billionaires and celebrities, who use their wealth to influence the economy to their whims. That's also why it works for a dragon type. Dragons in European myth are notorious for hoarding gold and wealth. And because I've already got one capitalism Pokemon, I might as well get a little greedy and make another. The body itself will be slender and pretty. When it comes to my 3 starters, I hit most of the tropes. The humanoid one, the beast one, and the cool one. But another starter trope, prominent in recent generations, is the feminine one. Delphox, Primarina, Meowscarada, and soon also Meganium again. This main body will be the blank slate for me to add more to. The shed skin drapes over it to resemble a fancy suit, and I use it to improve the shapes and silhouette of this Pokemon, giving it this flowing form. I want it to be a lot prettier than the 2 pre-evolutions, as it can use its Fey powers to drain your life energy and make itself younger and prettier, just like many magical beings in fairy tales. This is a more Pokemon-friendly way to reference the crippling effect loads of rich people have on the economy, and especially the lower classes, and how those dirty leeches steal our money and eat our children. I'm sorry. It has some very subtle butterfly motifs to it, with the antenna on its head and its patterns on its skin. Also, it has legs now. Damn! I'm very happy with its colors too. I once again had to call a lifeline for this, but the pink, black and yellow, which resembles rich jewelry, are a great combo. Let's eat a rich! Let's eat Serpulent! From serpent and opulent, which means rich or wealthy looking.
Nom nom nom.
Serpulent, the influence Pokemon, a dragon and fairy type. Serpulent uses its mystical powers to influence people and Pokemon into giving it stuff. It hoards its loot in its nest, and only shares with those it has bonded with. It has the unsettling ability to steal the youth of another person or Pokemon with its mystic powers. It absorbs the life energy of weaker Pokemon to keep itself strong and powerful. It has the ability Dragon's Force and the hidden ability Dragon Maw.
This is one of the coolest and most unique Pokemon in my deck so far, and I really feel it fits in with the other starters. Here they all are together, a happy little family. Of course, we're not done yet though. Trust me, I've been
Busy!
so busy. Not only am I going to be drawing a 3rd rival, I'm also drawing this region's, drumroll please! That's the best we can do. Budget costs. Fine. The Pokemon Professor! That's right, this rival will double as the region's professor. Early on in the series, the Professor was a pretty stagnant character archetype. Oak, Birch, Elm, Rowan, they were all pretty similar in their roles in the story. And in my opinion, they've never been that interesting. But since Gen 7, they've been experimenting with the Professor quite a bit. Gen 7 had Kukui being the champion as well. Gen 8 had a transition from Magnolia to Sonia, and Gen 9 had the Professor straight up being the main antagonist. And these 3 are easily my favorite Professors in the series. But even then, all of these characters have one thing in common. They served as the mentor of your story. But not with me! My Professor will be a gifted kid, who already has his status at age 14. I wanted him to be a quirky dork who's caught up in his research that he neglects basically everything else he needs to survive. So his outfit is a mismatched chimera of fun Pokemon merch which don't really go well together, and aren't very fitting for a professional researcher like him to wear on the job. This all culminated in the best thing I have ever drawn. Totodile Crocs! Oh, I need Pokemon to make Totodile Crocs. They'd be amazing. And they also encapsulate this personality perfectly. A massive Pokemon geek too caught up in his own work to take the time to put on good shoes. I made his lab coat far too big for him. He's still growing into it after all. Because he really is a child at heart. And to add to his outfits and geek personality, I designed some small badges based on some of the Pokemon you'll find in the Humesum region. You'll notice there some of the boss Pokemon you fight on your journey. Oink Oink, Diabondo, and Fumetasm, with his Hummigrate shirt also referencing the first boss. In fact, Hummigrate inspired a lot of his design. The grey hair and yellow goggles. He's all dressed up like a buzzy Hummigrate, which would be his signature Pokemon. For the other boss Pokemon, I've already designed matching Elite Four members, but I haven't yet revealed the bug type Elite Four, so instead, Hummigrate will be Hazel's ace. Every Pokemon professor is named after a tree, so this boy is called Hazel. He'd be your rival in the Pokemon boss storyline. At first, he's a reclusive workaholic and an anxious kid who's actually pretty nervous around Pokemon up close. But after getting the starter weak to you and being forced to catch and research the rampaging Hummigrate, he goes with you on a journey across the region, catching the dangerous boss Pokemon together with you to find out what's going on and why they're causing a ruckus. Slowly, he gets more out of his shell and forms a strong bond with Pokemon, as well as his first ever friends. Hazel is a bit of an allegory to autism, being hyperfixated on Pokemon, having difficulty socializing and forming bonds, and finding it hard to understand and express his feelings. Autism is a wide spectrum though, so of course this isn't how all people with ASD are like. I do hope this is a good representation of autism though, because it's mostly just based on myself. His team would consist of all the boss Pokemon you fought so far. Hummigrate, Diabondo, blue for west and pink for east, Fumetasm, Oink Oink, and a yet to be revealed Dragon-type boss. He also has a starter weak to yours. Wait, you're redesigning Hummigrate again? No, actually, it's just that Hummigrate would be a pretty weak ace for a rival to have, so it's time that I finally unveil the special gimmick of my region. Drumroll please! Mega Evolution! I debated for a long while if I'd come up with a new gimmick, or if I'd reuse an old one. And while I think Mega Evolution has its issues, being pretty unbalanced with its distribution and also in battle, I think it makes the most sense to keep using it. We can't keep getting new gimmicks every generation. At some point they'd just be reskins of each other, and Mega Evolution being the most popular gimmick, as well as the signature gimmick of the region just south of Humesum, just makes sense. So here's the first Mega Evolution of the region, Mega Hummigrate. I analyzed its original design and decided to lock in on the two main aspects of it, the wings and the proboscis. I exaggerated the proboscis the most, turning it into a grabby hand and a silly straw. I miss those. The world just isn't the same without them. The silly straw references the way that hummingbirds have evolved together with specific flowers. The hummingbird's beak grows longer and weirder together with the flower. This way only the hummingbird can eat from the flower, guaranteeing a food source for the bird and guaranteeing that the bird pollinates only other flowers of the same kind. It's a really cool example of evolution in our real world, so I'm glad to reference it with this Pokemon. Only instead of a bird, it's a moth. The straw also resembles those weird tentacles of the most Australian moth you'll ever see. Trigger warning, by the way. The Genghis moth. No, this is not Cthulhu's moth Sona. This is just the way that the Genghis moth spreads its pheromones. Hummigrate's wings are also a lot different. They're now split in two. They still keep the St. Nicholas cross on them, but their shape is a lot cooler, and it looks like it flaps its wings much faster than before, fitting for a hummingbird hawk moth Pokemon. Mega Hummigrate!
Mega Hummigrate, the migration Pokemon. A bug and flying type. Its 5 straw-like tentacles suck up any fluids it can come across. Honey, nectar, water, but also blood. These tentacles can wrap up opponents with ease. They are cursed with an unquenchable hunger and will harass flower Pokemon to suck them dry of their nectar. It has the ability Magic Scales.
I am aware Hummigrate isn't the most popular Pokemon of my region because of its simplicity, but it's one of my personal favorites because of the story behind it, its vibe, and just because of how much it has come up in my videos already. So I'm happy to give it some more special treatment. Who's my special little boy? I have one more character for you all. This character is going to be a bit different. She won't be a rival, more so a friend on your journey, kind of like Lily. A character important to the story and plot, who you don't get to battle actually. Of course this comes with a curse that I can't really reveal too much about her yet, or I risk spoiling too much story. I plan to make some videos going in depth into the story some other time. Plus, I still haven't ironed out the details yet, so patience will be necessary. She'd be a pretty mysterious character in the story, not speaking a lot, but showing emotion through her actions. The main mystery about her would be her origin. This strange girl has amnesia and doesn't quite know who she is or where she's from. After washing up on the shore, she had to find refuge with Professor Hazel, who took her in as his friend/assistant, with her job mainly being reminding him to eat and sleep instead of researching Pokemon all day. To get this trait of mystery and amnesia across, I wanted to give her a pretty unorthodox design for a Pokemon character. At first, I kept her design simple. An oversized shirt and some white socks. A simple outfit for a girl who at first glance seems to have no identity or background at all. But I also wanted her outfit to be mysterious and strange, so I added some see-through robes she wraps around herself, adding elegance and beauty to this casual makeshift outfit. I had a lot of fun coming up with a color scheme for her design. I adore the combination I went with. Bright pink and cyan go well together, especially with the black hair and the yellow accents. Lastly, I'd like you to have a good look at her eyes. I experimented with how I drew these, and I think they're gorgeous. Very unique for a Pokemon character, adding even more mystique to her design. I'm very happy with her and how she looks, as well as her story too, but that's my little secret for now. This is Ariane. Her name has an interesting origin, but I'm gonna leave that up to you guys to speculate about. I would love to read your guys' theories about her in the comments below. I adore her and her gorgeous design, and I'm very curious to see what you guys think she could be all about. Whew, that was a long video and a lot of art. I promised myself I wouldn't do such a big video again after the 500 subscriber special, but I lied. And I'm happy I did, because this was a very fun video. I feel I've grown a lot as an artist and YouTuber, and this video is proof. A quick heads up, I'm transitioning to a slower schedule because college has started again. So instead of a video every week, I'm going to make one every 2 weeks. This way, I get more time to make better videos, as well as still getting to live the rest of my life, with internship, school, work and other hobbies. Thank you all for watching this video, and as always, have another wonderful day. Entry number 25. Subject Primordial changed shapes again. It started resembling a strange jellyfish or squid. For some odd reason, it resembles many kinds of deep sea life. Jellyfish Pokemon like Jellicent, anglerfish Pokemon like Chinchou, and squid-like Pokemon like Octillery. Even some sea-slug Pokemon like Gastrodon or Fione. This new form has many tentacle-like appendages that end in glowing orbs. They kind of resemble stars when I look at them. Very peculiar. It's made of some strange jelly-like substance that has odd regenerative properties that I don't quite understand yet. Astoundingly, my research shows evidence of it being billions of years old, somehow. Maybe even as old as the universe itself. My professional opinion? It may have been the result of the creation of the universe itself. If this is true, this could be a huge discovery for the origin of life and Pokemon. I speculate that the shapeless jelly is some form of thick coating, with the real creature hiding within. But I have no way to prove this without possibly hurting subject Primordial. Maybe I have grown attached to it. It keeps amazing me in different ways, from its odd origins to its strange properties and its beautiful colors. They remind me of a nebula. The way these colors transition into a deep dark black is just beautiful. I'm getting carried away. It's a strange and beautiful Pokemon, if I can even classify it as a Pokemon. I have decided to call it Jelabist. This name comes from the words jellyfish, abyss, celeste, genesis, and galaxy. I have provided a custom dex entry hidden from the public. It's not complete yet. The creature contains many more secrets, so further research is necessary. The CEO of Compass Co has requested a meeting with me. They've never shown this much interest into my research before. I'm afraid they may know about Jelabist. I need to find some way to hide it. But how? I don't know what they'll do if they catch it and... Wait a second. It's changing again. What? No. That's impossible.